ages before the rule of men and the fading of the Eldar and Dwarf, there was an age of uncertainty and an age of darkness, the age of Asartum. In the first age the gods made the world, and for strange eons life grew under the serpent man from their primordial ooze who took the whole of the world. They were the masters of all. Then, perhaps, betrayed by their gods, or judged by them for their evils, the world cooled, and the serpent men faded into the jungles of the eastern island, like a viper, perhaps ready to strike out again after ages have passed. The second age came, and with it the rise of the beast men, who roamed the world over in giant migratory herds, in bliss with nature, till cruel magics were discovered by them, and they became twisted and vile. They hunted man and beast, Eldar and Dwarf, but too corrupted they were, and they stood too divided. So the Eldar prevailed, and ruled over all, till man and dwarf supplant him. Then came the Remorans, a human peoples, arose in a great and terrible people, who built temples to the sky and interned their dead to sleep dreamless for eternity in sacred temples. But the Remorans too fell. In the third age arose a kingdom of man from out the west, the Zalaran Empire, whose borders stretched from the western waters to the eastern sea. They controlled all the world, but for those western tribes who cannot be tamed, or for the eastern isle that is covered with scaly serpent men. For a time unknown, Zalara sat as the center of the world, until at last the gods did not answer the Zalarans, and magic's foul eroded the people. Sorcery of the worst kind was performed, and the world was plunged into darkness and uncertainty as the Zalaran Empire fell apart into the age of Asartum. The Eastern Isle is home of the Serpent Men, who reside in their jungles and swamps, worshipping their gods of a time before a time. A lowly outpost of man resides on the westernmost shore, and claimed descent from the last Zalaran Emperor. This city-state of Alaris is home to some of the stoutest men whose lives are ever threatened by the dangers of the Serpent Man. Before touching their mother's milk, they embrace a sword, so they live and die for the survival of their people. Across the eastern sea to the continent lies many peoples. In the untamed north are the wild cities, lands uncivilized and filled with petty city-states, though city is a generous word. Any man who can gather a dozen mail-clad warriors together in a wooden hall with a palisade may call themselves a lord or king. They are disunited and fight amongst themselves when they are not fending off beast-men incursions. Though some vestiges of the Zalaran Empire remain, recognized only by the ruins left from a bygone age. South of them resides the men of Laura, who are fragmented, and the great houses there are divided. Though a key contender arises, House Ortesia, who looks to rule over the other great houses and unite the land from a growing threat spawned by beastmen in the north and constant fears of serpent men incursions from the east. The petty feudal lords of the great houses rule over their peasant farmers with an iron fist, and those who are the masters of the castles of stone collect taxes and tributes from those who take oaths of loyalty. The rival cities are two large city-states, Adelpho in the north and Xander in the south. Just east of Lara, these two merchant cities have been rivals for as long as memory can recount. The origin of their schism is different depending upon what city you ask the tale in. However, they are fine merchants, and their ships sail along the coast, bringing wares and goods through perils of sea serpents, monsters, pirates and serpent men. Their location in the middle of the Eastern Sea has made them prominent maritime city-states, and their location just east of Lora has led to politicking on every end. Further south, beyond Lora, is the people of Megara, who have a strong culture of philosophy and art. They pride themselves on military discipline and heady society. Friendly and free peoples, they are not afraid to set their poems aside and carry their long spears into battle. The formations they use are rumored to have been used by the old Zalaran Empire. These city-states form a loose confederation, and Megara city is the chief center of learning along the Eastern Sea. South of them, and a plague upon any who would keep their coin or women folks safe, are the dwarves of Galamath. The Galamathian dwarves are a cruel and vengeful people. They suffered dearly at the hands of the Zalaran Empire for their determined resistance to the conquest of their island home, and they have never forgiven manfolk. They used their ships to strike along the coasts of Megara and Eldara, as well as venturing further afield into Lora or the rival cities. The Eldar live in the wooded lands of Eldara and worship their ancestors as they ignore most of the outside world to burn their incense and sing songs to those who have gone before them. They trouble the world little, and few trouble them, but their easterly neighbors Megara and the dwarves of Galamath. In the sandy sea lies the Moon Elves, outcasts from their light-skinned brethren the Eldar. Most of the Moon Elves wander the desert, while their only real seat of power lies in Alis Keris, next to an ancient oasis. The Western Talaran Empire is ruled by the great king and emperor Syrimus the Pious, who worships a triad of gods. They have been successful in military expansion against their neighbors, annexing petty kingdoms into their growing empire. From atop their mighty ziggurats in Talara, they burn incense and the bodies of their enemies to their deities, while their ships sail the Whisker River and trade the world over. In the north, nestled in the mountain are the dwarves of Dolagnum. Unlike their southern cousins, they do not seek out violence, and women hold a special place within their society. The dwarven queen, the deep mother, is the acting voice of all matters domestic, while the dwarven king, the deep father, handles the military and foreign affairs. Raids by human tribes or beast-men wandering keep the dwarves busy. Giants, they say, inhabit the mountains and hills surrounding the dwarven holds. The Dolagnum dwarves, however, can still be seen from time to time, making caravans to Lora or across the sandy sea to the Talaran Empire, sometimes even beyond if the captain of the venture be bold. To the west of these dwarves and scattered about are the barbarian tribes, the Amathites, the Kusanites, and the Wessanites, who long ago thwarted the Zalaran Empire's advances to the northern sea. Their great mammoths, which they have trained for war, can withstand the cold of the north and strike terror on the field of battle. Far to the south lies the Kularan Kingdom, an old tributary of the Zalaran Empire, who saw wisdom in submission. A seafaring people, and supposedly a land of wizards, the Kularan Kingdom is known for vast jungles and rich spices. A king rules over them, but rumor has it he is a great mage who can see the future. Few have traveled to the exotic archipelago, except traders and pirates. Further rumors suggest that the Talaran Empire seeks to ally with them and their fleet. Beyond the world, no one knows what awaits. It is rumored that other lands exist, but it is unknown. A few sailors have told tall tales of what lays beyond the southern sea, but most consider these merely tavern stories. One explorer, Victos the Bold, once ventured south, and his ship was not seen for some time. It eventually returned, wrecked upon the Magardan coast. Those on board were rotting flesh, long dead, by strange arrows unseen in the land. Although that too could be a sailor's tale.